Paid just 20 to sabotage a date, she discovered an unexpected love with a millionaire CEO. Sarah was drowning in a sea of aprons and coffee cups, pouring her heart into every late-night shift at the diner just to scrape by. The clatter of plates and chatter of customers felt like a constant reminder of her struggle, a rough soundtrack to the life she was giving her daughter, Lily. Each day, she watched affluent families stroll past, their faces lit up with laughter, their hands full of shopping bags, while she lived paycheck to paycheck. Yet, through the exhaustion, her dreams refused to fade. Sarah wanted more than a mundane existence, more for Lily than the cycle of work and survival. One afternoon, as she wiped down the counter, an unexpected whisper reached her ear. An old acquaintance, desperate for quick cash, offered her 20 to sabotage a date between Jake, the town's successful CEO, and his date at the upscale restaurant down the road. For a fleeting moment, guilt washed over her, but as thoughts of Lily's upcoming birthday loomed, the money felt more compelling than her hesitations. A shiny unicorn toy awaited in the toy store, and the price of admission was mere penny change compared to the joy of seeing Lily's face light up. Before she knew it, Sarah found herself at the restaurant, her heart racing as she plotted her approach. She imagined ruining Jake's date was going to be easy, but when she finally saw him from afar, everything changed. He was nothing like the arrogant, rich kid she envisioned. Jake was genuinely kind, laughing with the staff and even picking up the tab for a struggling single father at a nearby table. He was the warmth she had yearned for, intertwining moments of compassion with every smile. As she drew closer, she found herself drawn to Jake's warmth, and it felt impossible to disrupt the night. He noticed her, his eyes meeting hers, and in that moment, the hustle around them faded away. Conversation sparked between them, easy and light, but guilt began gnawing at her heart. Could she betray the very kindness she admired in him? The tension inside her grew with every laughter and glance they shared. Could she really carry on with this deceit? Just when Sarah thought she could handle the weight of her decision, Jake discovered her secret. His face fell when he confronted her, betrayal flashing in his eyes, and everything that had felt so effortless moments before shattered. Sarah's heart sank. How could she hurt someone who had shown her just how different the world could be? In that encounter, she grasped the prejudice she carried about wealth, realizing it wasn't money she resented, but the divide it created. Their lives began to intertwine as they navigated this small suburban community, and rumors of a charity event started to swirl. A chance for renewal was on the horizon, but with it came the shadow of their confrontation. Sarah was left with a transformative opportunity to carve a new path. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Standing before an expectant crowd, Sarah felt a thrill course through her. To come clean about her deception or to melt back into anonymity, never knowing what could have been. Would they judge her? Would Jake ever forgive her? Their eyes, full of anticipatory hope, locked on her, urging her to step forward. Heart pounding, Sarah faced her fears, asking herself if she could bridge the chasm between them or if she would let regret define her story. With Jake watching closely, ready to listen, the decision loomed before her, full of possibility and dread. Could love truly conquer the barriers they had each built? The crowd held its breath, a sea of faces reflecting curiosity and expectation. Sarah's heart felt like it might leap out of her chest, thrumming with the weight of her secret. Every moment stretched, like the silence could absorb her truth before it even left her lips. She swallowed hard, the words teetering on the edge of her mind. She faltered, the sting of vulnerability caught in her throat. Jake moved closer, his brow furrowed, concern etched across his handsome face. There was an urgency in his eyes, a flicker of hope that gave her strength. Taking a deep breath, she launched into her confession. I was paid to sabotage your date. I didn't want to hurt you. I needed the money for Lily's birthday. The truth spilled out, clumsy yet honest, like an overflowing cup. As she spoke, she could see the shift on Jake's face, the lingering traces of betrayal battling with surprise and understanding. The crowd around them buzzed with whispers. Did she really? No way. Sarah's stomach nodded. Would they see her as a fraud? A cheat? She stole a glance at Jake, searching for any sign of how deep the hurt ran. But instead of anger, she found compassion, touching her heart in a way she had never expected. "I can't believe you would do that for your daughter," Jake finally said, his voice steady. "You're not a bad person, Sarah. You were just trying to do what's right for Lily." Something shifted in the atmosphere. The whispers faded, and the room felt smaller, as if it were just the two of them. "I thought you were someone I wouldn't understand," she admitted softly, meeting his gaze. "I judged you based on your wealth, but you showed me different." He stepped closer, the warmth of his presence wrapping around her like a blanket. "Sarah, we all have our battles. But we also have the chance to change. You can make things right for both of us." A chill ran down her spine, not from fear, but from a strange excitement. With him standing so near, a possibility unfurled in her heart. Could she really rebuild the bridge they had just begun to cross? Her instincts screamed to beg for forgiveness, to let him know how much she needed this connection. But doubt crept in. Could love flourish in the ruins of secrets? Suddenly, the chatter of the nearby attendees broke the moment, reminding them they weren't alone. Faces in the crowd shifted from judgment to admiration. A few people were smiling, nodding, and unspoken camaraderie forming among them. It was as if they were all rooting for her, wanting to see a new beginning blossom. Jake held her gaze, the intensity of his expression warming her from within. "Maybe we can start fresh." "But how?" she asked, her voice trembling just slightly. "We can team up for the charity event. It can be our chance to show everyone ourselves that we're more than our past mistakes." Sarah felt hope blooming, daring to imagine what their partnership could become. An idea sparked. Together? Together. He grinned, a playful yet sincere look dancing in his eyes. Challenges lay ahead, and while they were bound by their mistakes, perhaps love could help rewrite their stories. Sarah took a deep breath, exhaling all doubts molded from past judgments. As the crowd started to discuss their plans excitedly, Sarah felt something within her ignite a renewed sense of purpose. Could this really lead to something more than either had dreamed? But as she shared a laugh with Jake that echoed through the room, another thought lingered: what if their connection was deeper than either of them realized? Could this spontaneous partnership evolve into the love she never saw coming, despite the barriers in their way? Only time would tell how far they could go. Just then, a figure emerged from the back, someone who could spell trouble for them both. A rival, a ghost from Jake's past. As murmurs broke out again, Sarah's heart crashed back into her stomach. Could they even manage this together? Sarah's heart raced as her gaze zeroed in on the newcomer. The crowd parted slightly, revealing a tall man with a confident stride and an air of authority. It was Leo, Jake's former business partner, a name that had been whispered in the same breath as scandals and betrayal. She could feel the tension in the air shift, the crowd's excitement replaced with uncertainty. "Look who decided to show up," Jake muttered under his breath, his jaw tightening as he tensed beside her. She could see the flicker of past hurt cross his features. It was like stepping back into a storm after finding a moment of calm. Leo's eyes landed on them, a smug smile creeping across his face as he walked closer. "Jake," he said, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "I didn't know you were going for the humble charity case look. Quite the change from your usual high-flying persona." The words hung heavy, and Sarah felt her heart sink. She stepped in, not wanting Jake to confront this man alone. "We're here for the charity, Leo. Some of us are trying to do good in the world." He brushed her off dismissively, turning back to Jake. "You've really lowered your standards, haven't you? Teaming up with a woman who can barely keep her finances in order?" Her cheeks flushed with a mix of anger and shame. She had enough of being characterized by her past mistakes, especially after so courageously stepping forward. "I'm not ashamed of my struggles, Leo. I'm doing what I need to for my daughter. Maybe you should try it sometime." Jake looked at her, surprised by her bravery. The way she stood her ground inspired a warmth in him, a feeling that maybe they could indeed conquer the world together. But Leo was still looming, and the tension was palpable. Jake inhaled deeply, a newfound determination shining in his eyes. "You don't know her, Leo. And you don't know what I've chosen to become. Oh please, Leo smirked, his posture oozing arrogance. You think you can just brush me aside? This charity event is mine to control. Your little partnership won't change the fact that I can destroy your reputation with a snap of my fingers. Sarah could hear the murmurs of the crowd, their whispers of concern echoing back to her. All the hopes they had shared felt momentarily crushed beneath Leo's oppressive presence. For every bit of hope she had felt, now doubt seeped in. What if Leo could ruin everything? But Jake leaned in closer, his voice low but fierce. And I think it's time you realized that I'm no longer your puppet. I'm not afraid of you anymore. The crowd fell silent, every eye now drawn to the confrontation. It was no longer just a personal battle between Jake and Leo, it felt like a pivotal moment for everyone watching. Then, just as Sarah was about to respond, Leo's smile faded, replaced by a steely glare. I'll be watching you, Jake. And when you stumble, I'll make sure everyone knows why you fell. With that, he turned, strutting away like a peacock, leaving a trail of tension in the air. As the crowd began to buzz with talking and speculation, Jake turned to Sarah, his expression fierce yet vulnerable. We can't let him get to us. We need to move forward. Are you ready? Sarah swallowed hard, still shaken. I think so, but what if he's right? What if we're not strong enough? We will be strong enough, he said firmly, his commitment echoing through her. Let us prove him wrong. But first, we have a lot of planning to do. They locked eyes, the challenge bringing a fresh energy between them. For the first time since this had all begun, Sarah could see a path ahead that was clear and bright. But would they truly be able to fight against the storm Leo represented, or was there more to worry about lurking in the shadows? As excitement buzzed back to life, she felt a spark within her. Maybe together they could create something beautiful. But deep down, a small voice whispered, was the threat Leo posed just the beginning? Jake and Sarah pushed their way through the lingering tension in the air, the hum of hushed conversations swirling around them. The event that had once felt like a simple charity gala now loomed larger, like shadows creeping across their hopeful plans. With Leo's taunts echoing in her mind, Sarah tried to shake off the weight of doubt. Let us gather our notes and see where we can improve the pitch. We need everything to be flawless, she suggested, her voice steady even as her heart fluttered. If we can get the right investors, we can make this charity dream a reality. Agreed, Jake responded, running a hand through his hair. The determination in his eyes sparked warmth within her, a sensation that made her feel momentarily invincible. The storm outside her mind faded as they walked to a quieter corner of the venue, a makeshift sanctuary amidst the chaos. As they settled into a private space, Sarah pulled out the materials they had prepared. Look, if we can convince the right people that this cause matters, it will put some pressure back on Leo. She laid out their plans, flipping through the pages, but found herself distracted. Every time she glanced at Jake, she saw the hint of vulnerability masked by determination. I know you're worried, Jake said, as if reading her thoughts. But we can't afford to let Leo dictate our actions. We have to focus on the foundation and what this means for the community. A flicker of optimism surged within her. Right. We're not just fighting for ourselves but for every child who needs help. We've got to keep our hearts in the work. She took a deep breath, feeling the steadiness of her commitment settle within her. The fire in Jake's eyes matched her own. Suddenly, a nearby couple's laughter broke through their focus, drawing their attention back to the reality around them. A heavy thud followed, a waiter dropping a tray filled with glasses, the sound sharp enough to steal the room's lightheartedness. Instinctively, Sarah felt Jake's hand brush against hers. Such a simple gesture sent warmth radiating through her. Let us take a quick moment, he said, interrupting the tension with a small smile. Just breathe. Together? She teased, nudging him playfully. Always, he replied, the sincerity in his tone tugging at her heart. As they exchanged glances, an unspoken connection thrummed between them. Behind the layers of worry and ambition, there was something tender brewing. But before she could let herself delve deeper into that line of thought, they were interrupted by a sudden voice. Is this a planning session or a love fest? A bright voice chimed, breaking the moment. Sarah turned to see her friend, Mia, arms crossed and eyebrows raised, standing a few feet away. Hey, we were just Jake began, but Mia waved him off, grinning widely. Oh please. The chemistry between you two is so evident, even I can see it from across the room. You both are practically glowing. Sarah felt her cheeks flush, more from embarrassment than any romantic flutter. Mia, this is serious. She laughed awkwardly. Sure, but don't overlook what's happening here, Mia winked. You deserve to be happy, especially after everything you've been through. Sarah's heart raced. How would they navigate this complicated blend of personal and professional now? Right when everything seemed possible, the unexpected realization of her feelings for Jake settled sharply between them. Let us not get distracted, Jake said, shooting a quick glance toward Mia, but Sarah could see the faintest tint of red linger on his cheeks. As Jake spoke, Sarah felt torn between exhilaration and uncertainty. They didn't have time for romantic distractions, not with Leo looming over them. Yet, that spark was undeniable. Mia picked up on the tension. Just don't close your heart to what's right in front of you, she advised, before wandering off to mingle with the crowd. Jake watched her go, then turned back to Sarah. You think she's right? I don't know, Sarah said honestly, the sincerity of her emotion evident. But the thought of maybe trying something with you, it's complicated. His expression softened. We can figure it out, right? But first, we need to focus on what's important. They both fell silent. The weight of the world rested on their shoulders, but beneath it all, hope flickered alive, a promise of something more if they dared to explore it. Just then, Sarah caught sight of Leo across the room, watching them from the shadows, his eyes calculating. The dread of his lingering presence pulled at her gut. Jake, she whispered, feeling panic rise again. What if we can't fight him? What if he has something up his sleeve? Jake's gaze turned steely. Whatever it is, we will face it together. I promise. But as they locked eyes, the warmth of hope wavered under the pressure of uncertainty. Would they truly be able to stand strong against everything that threatened to pull them apart, even as their connection drew them closer? Caught between storm clouds and silver linings, the truth of their bond felt both thrilling and terrifying. Where would this lead them next? The soft murmur of the gala returned, but the chaos faded beneath the weight of Sarah's thoughts. Focus drifted, for all she could see was Leo's presence, a dark cloud looming over the promise of their dreams. Her heart raced, the dread strangling every hopeful idea. Jake, I just can't shake this feeling, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. His expression shifted softly to concern. What are you worried about most? Leo. If he tries to sabotage our pitch, Jake cut her off, we won't let him. We've worked too hard for this. His voice was strong, a lifeline in a sea of anxiety. But looking into his earnest eyes, Sarah felt that floundering hope mixed with fear. What if he has got something on us? Something that can ruin all of this? Jake leaned in closer, the air thickening with tension. Whatever he has, we'll turn it against him. Let us not forget, he has underestimated us before. We can use that to our advantage. A small part of her clenched at the thought, their dreams hanging by a thread in the shadow of Leo's ambition. But Jake's resolve ignited a flicker of courage. You're right. We just have to stay focused. Her lips curled into a small smile, a breath of optimism breathed back to life. But just as they shared a moment of silent agreement, that familiar voice cut through the likeness. Planning world domination, are we? Leo approached, his usual smirk plastered across his face. Jake stepped slightly in front of Sarah, a protective stance she found strangely comforting. It's none of your business, Leo. Oh, but it is, he replied, eyes glimmering with mischief. See, I couldn't help but notice you two seem particularly close tonight. Sarah's pulse quickened. How much did Leo know? Get lost, Leo. Jake's voice was firm, but Sarah could sense the tension radiating from him like a force field. You know, Sarah, you really should be careful about the company you keep. They might not have your best interests at heart. Leo's gaze lingered on Jake, dripping contempt. Especially in a room full of potential investors. That's rich coming from you, Jake shot back, his jaw tightening. Caught in the crossfire, Sarah's heartbeat drowned out the noise of the gala. Her mind raced, searching for a way out of this confrontation. And just when she thought things couldn't get more intense, Leo leaned in closer, a conspiratorial whisper meant only for her. "I can protect you from this little operation of yours. We could be partners." Her stomach dropped. "I'm not interested, Leo." "Oh, come on, you don't know what you're missing." He stepped back, shrugging, as if he expected her reaction. "But don't say I didn't warn you. Things have a way of unraveling, especially when you're a fool for love." The air felt electric as Leo strolled away, leaving an ominous silence in his wake. Sarah turned to face Jake, her heart racing, pulse quickening with every moment. "Don't listen to him," he said, grasping her shoulders. "We're not fools. We're building something real." She hesitated, wrestling with doubt. What if he's right? What if everything unravels? Jake's grip tightened. "Then we fight. Together. These feelings, whatever happens with us, we figure it out when we're not in the line of fire." The urgency of their situation loomed larger than any romantic mislead, yet a part of her yearned to explore the connection blooming between them. The uncertainty lingered, but the undeniable spark remained, flickering with potential. "Let us just focus on the pitch," she said, trying to reclaim her resolve. "We'll make it work. Together." "Together," Jake echoed, a promise sealed with determination. And as they resumed their task, setting their goals firmly in sight, Sarah couldn't shake the thought. Would they truly be able to separate perceived threats from what really mattered, the chance at something more meaningful? That question loomed, an unsolved puzzle, teasing her with tantalizing possibilities as the night continued. But for now, it was that feeling of connection, layered with anxiety and hope, that kept her heart racing. But just as they gathered there, materials, the dimmed lights in the hall flickered ominously again, pulling their attention. The atmosphere shifted, heavy with unseen moments waiting to unfold. "What now?" she asked, her heart still pounding. Jake looked at her, tension in his eyes. Maybe Leo's not the only one who has a trick up his sleeve. Before she could respond, the sudden loud chime of the gala's clock rang, marking the hour, but what would follow was an unexpected twist that neither of them could have prepared for. A ripple of confusion washed over the crowd as the clock chimed. Conversations halted mid-sentence, glasses paused halfway to lips, and a mass of attendees turned toward the front of the hall, the stage, where the MC had just been preparing to address the audience. Jake tightened his grip on Sarah's shoulders, as if steadying her against what was to come. She could feel her heartbeat drumming in her ears, the inevitability of something big hanging heavy in the air. Suddenly, lights blared to life, illuminating the stage. The spotlight froze on a figure, a man dressed in a sleek black suit. His dark eyes scanned the room, a calculated smile dancing on his lips. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. I'm here tonight to announce something very special," the MC declared, gaining the audience's attention. "A new venture that's going to change everything." Whispers twirled like leaves in autumn. For a moment, Sarah forgot her worries about Leo, her heart igniting with curiosity about this unexpected announcement. As the MC launched into a passionate speech about innovation and potential, Jake's eyes darted around the room, vigilant and assessing. "Stay close," he quietly instructed Sarah, who nodded, tethered to him by an unexplainable instinct. But just as the MC was about to reveal the surprise, the blaring lights flickered again. And there stood Leo at the back of the hall, arms crossed, a storm brewing on his brow. "You really think you can just take over the showcase?" Leo's voice, booming, pierced through the excitement. "You're selling illusions, my friend. The real deal is right here." The excitement sputtered, questions spiraled, but Leo's words lit a fire. All eyes turned towards him, anticipation mixed with uncertainty. Sarah's stomach twisted, she could feel the tension thick in the air. "Let us not forget, I was the one that brought this event together," Leo continued, his gaze shifting towards the MC. "And I have some interesting news of my own, one that could define this evening." A heaviness piled on as Jake stepped forward slightly, a sign of his readiness to defend against whatever Leo had planned. "What are you up to, Leo?" He growled low, the undertone fierce enough to spark nervous glances among the onlookers. Sarah felt every nerve in her body tense, the energy shifting. "This could ruin everything," she whispered, her heart thundering in her chest. "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out," Jake reassured her, holding her gaze, drawing strength from the presence they shared. Then, Leo smirked, and to Sarah's horror, he raised an envelope above his head, waving it for everyone to see. "You'll want to pay close attention to this," he said, delighting in the suspense. "This contains documents that will surprise our dear friends here." The low murmurs turned into a cacophony of anxious chatter, like static building in her mind. Panic threatened to creep in, making it hard to breathe. What could be in that envelope? What if it laid bare their vulnerabilities, threatening the pitch they worked so hard for? "Leo might have a point," whispered a fellow attendee, her face pale with uncertainty. "What else isn't he telling us?" Before Sarah could process the weight of the moment, Leo's voice rang out again. "I guess we'll see what kind of partnerships this night brings." And just like that, the gala transformed into a battlefield, where alliances would be tested, and dreams teetered on the edge of realization or destruction. It was a precarious balance, a stage set for drama and revelation. As the crowd leaned in, anticipation electrified the atmosphere. Sarah felt the world narrowing down to just two things: the envelope in Leo's hand and the fierce connection with Jake that refused to waver, even in chaos. What secrets would Leo spill? What consequences would follow? And in the backdrop of ambition and deception, would love bloom or fade? As the crowd erupted into an uproar, each heartbeat echoed a question: could they stand together against the unraveling storm? The unexpected tension in the air felt like a tightrope stretched between chaos and possibility. Leo's face was somber but smug, and every whisper in the crowd served as more fuel to the fire. Sarah clutched Jake's arm, her heart galloping with fear. "Do you think he's bluffing?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake's jaw tightened, his eyes fixed on Leo. "If he is not, we need to brace ourselves. He is good at this kind of manipulation." "Manipulation?" Sarah frowned, the word heavy on her tongue. "What if he is about to ruin us? Or lift us higher?" Jake replied quietly, but the uncertainty lingered. The crowd seemed to sway towards Leo, curiosity battling with loyalty to the MC. Sarah could feel the shift in energy, like a tide pulling at them. She had worked so hard with Jake to prepare for this night, pouring her heart into every detail. What would happen if Leo had the upper hand? "Let us not let him get to us," Jake said, his grip steady as they edged closer together. "Whatever is in that envelope, we can handle it." "Why does it feel like the beginning of a disaster?" she asked, panic threatening to spiral. "Because that is exactly what he wants you to feel," Jake said with a firmness that steadied her racing thoughts. "Distract yourself. Focus on us. Remember why we're here." His eyes locked onto hers, and in that moment, the outside world faded. But their moment was short-lived. "Surprise!" Leo announced, his voice dripping with mischief as he tore open the envelope like it was a party favor. The crowd fell silent again, breaths held as he slowly brought out a stack of papers, waving them like trophies. "What are you planning?" the MC demanded, trying to regain control of the room. Leo smirked. "Let us just say, these documents uncover some unflattering truths about our favorite entrepreneur here and his mysterious little venture." Gasps erupted. Tension thickened, and closer to the stage, Sarah could see the MC's face pale as he realized what was at stake. He stumbled over his words, attempting to regain his composure. "What do you have?" one attendee shouted, voice trembling with intrigue. "Let us just call this a friendly competition," Leo replied, his eyes glinting like daggers. "I wouldn't want to hog all the spotlight." An uncomfortable shift rippled through the audience, with eyes darting between Leo and the MC. The air was thick with uncertainty, and Sarah felt her world tilt. With each revelation, the fine line between success and ruin grew more blurred. Jake leaned closer to Sarah, voice low yet fierce. "We need to act. We can't let him turn this into a circus." She nodded, instinctively knowing they had to hold their ground. "What can we do?" Before he could answer, Leo launched a verbal tirade against the MC, pointing out financial discrepancies, past failures, all while brandishing the papers triumphantly. "What will it take for you to stop deceiving these good people? Just a little honesty?" Every word cut like glass, and nervous laughter mixed with gasps filled the room. Sarah felt sick, and the reality of the situation dawned on her. Leo wasn't just trying to humiliate their plans, he aimed to dismantle their entire future. Jake's hand found hers. "We can change this narrative, Sarah. We must. It's too important." With a rush of adrenaline, Sarah stood a little taller. "Then let us take a stand." In that moment, determination surged within her. They had come too far to let one man unravel it all. But deep down, a question lingered, haunting her like a dark cloud. Would announcements of secrets from the past bury them for good, or could they rise above it all, together? As the uproar continued, igniting fear and confusion, Sarah took a deep breath, knowing they had to confront Leo before he shaped the evening into a nightmare that could shatter everything they believed in. Would they find the courage to reclaim their narrative before it was too late? Sarah felt her pulse quicken as she stepped forward, pulling Jake with her, their hands intertwined. She could see Leo's smug expression sharpen like the pointed end of a knife, ready to plunge deeper into the chaos he was creating. The crowd buzzed with anticipation, ready to hear more, almost drunk on the drama unfolding before them. "Leo," she called out, her voice stronger than she felt. It cut through the crowd's murmurs like a lighthouse beam through a storm. All eyes turned toward her, and for a moment, she felt the weight of their expectation. "Are you done making a spectacle of yourself?" she demanded, her heart threatening to drown in uncertainty. Leo raised an eyebrow, looking amused at her audacity. "Spectacle? No, darling. I'm merely uncovering truths. Isn't that what you wanted? A night of transparency?" "Transparency?" Jake echoed, stepping up beside her, anger igniting his tone. "Or are you just trying to deflect from your own failures?" The crowd leaned in closer, caught in the undertow of their confrontation. Sarah could see the MC, recovering from his earlier shock, visibly trying to regroup. The tension was palpable. Each second felt like an hour, or the stakes felt higher with every heartbeat. "Let us not deviate from original purpose," Leo retorted, his voice silky smooth yet dripping with sarcasm. "After all, who wants to hear about trust and teamwork when the juicy gossip is right in front of us?" At that moment, Sarah decided she wouldn't back down. "You think this is about gossip? You've got it all wrong. This is about the hard work we put into this project. It's about our vision, not yours." Her words hung in the air, delicate yet defiant. Sarah felt the surge of support from Jake, who squeezed her hand tightly, and she could almost see a shift ripple through the crowd. Doubts clenched like spiders in their minds were beginning to loosen. "And that vision," Jake continued, "gives people hope. Not everyone is out to tear others down, Leo. That's a reflection of who you are, not us." The room shifted, curiosity muting the hostility. This was their moment to reclaim the spotlight. Sarah could hear the subtle shifts in the audience as her words took root, and she pressed on, finding strength in the butterflies that danced in her stomach. "You may think you have power here," Sarah said, her voice steady, "but we have something far more valuable than your papers and accusations. We have a community that believes in us." "Community doesn't pay the bills," Leo shot back, but there was a slight falter in his bravado. "No, but it fuels us. Friends and supporters who've seen what we've built and how hard we've fought," she countered, feeling a new tide of confidence surge through her. "And together, we're stronger than your petty threats." Sarah could see murmurs among the crowd as heads nodded in agreement. She locked her eyes on Leo's, a challenge lighting the fire within her as she added, "So let us settle this once and for all. Show us what you truly have, and we'll show you what real resilience looks like." The air crackled with tension as Leo's smirk finally faded into something more guarded. The gasps around them turned into a buzz of whispers, the tide turning against him, and it felt like a collective breath was held, but just before he could respond, another voice broke through, a voice Sarah didn't expect to hear. It was the MC, stepping forward again, his expression serious. "What you're doing is reckless, Leo. You have the power to destroy, but do you have the courage to build?" That simple question hung in the air, waiting for an answer. As Sarah met Jake's determined gaze, she knew they had to keep pushing, to keep this momentum alive. Would they manage to grip the narrative, or would Leo find a way to twist it back around to suit his agenda? Her heart raced, and a new challenge emerged, facing the deeper realities of their dreams amidst a battlefield of ambition and betrayal. Could they truly turn the tide, or would they lose everything in an instant? The tension in the room could be sliced with a knife. Sarah could feel every eye on her, a mixture of hope and apprehension. She and Jake shared a silent agreement, fueling each other's courage as they faced Leo. This was no longer just about competition, it had morphed into a confrontation that could redefine everything they worked for. "Come on, Leo," Sarah pressed, her heart thudding loudly in her ears. "You can't possibly believe that tearing us down will make you look better. This isn't a game. It's about lives, dreams, and real people who put their hearts into this." Leo's eyes flickered, uncertainty creeping in behind the veneer of his confidence. "You think it's that simple? You think you're some kind of heroes here?" Jake stepped forward, the fire in his words igniting a flame in the crowd. "We're not claiming hero status. We just want to make a difference. Instead of tearing down, why not collaborate? Build something stronger together?" A shift had started. Sarah could sense it. She caught glimpses of nods, expressions of contemplation. Could they really sway the crowd? Did they have the power to turn this situation in their favor? Before Leo could regain his footing, the MC chimed in again. "This is about creating something positive. You've all been working on your passions. Why let a petty rivalry dictate the outcome?" But Leo, relentless in his ambition, finally snapped. "You think this is just some petty rivalry? I've worked too hard to let it slip away. If I can't own it, no one can." His voice rose, and the audience shrank back, stunned. The atmosphere cracked between them, electric with the weight of his declaration. Sarah felt her heart sink momentarily. What lengths was Leo willing to go to? It was a reckless game that could endanger everything. In a lower tone, almost a whisper, she said, "Leo, don't you see? That's exactly why we're different. We want to uplift, not destroy. And we don't need to step on others to succeed. It's time to change the narrative." For a split second, silence blanketed the room. Sarah could see uncertainty drift across Leo's features. She didn't want to validate his fears, but perhaps, just maybe, there was still a chance to break through. Suddenly, a loud voice burst from the back of the crowd. "You all talk about building, what's next? But who's going to sacrifice for that? What's the plan?" The voice belonged to a familiar face. It was Tracy, a local businesswoman and a friend. Sarah's heart raced again, not with fear this time, but with hope. Tracy's presence shifted the focus, redirecting attention back to potential collaboration instead of confrontation. "We'll sacrifice," Jake answered, turning towards the crowd. "We already have. This isn't just about us. It's about this community. Together, we can create something that no one can tear down." The room seemed to come alive with a new energy. Conversations bubbled like a boiling pot, filled with uncertainty yet sparked by newfound enthusiasm. Could they really turn this thing around? As Sarah looked out at the sea of faces, hope welled within her. Could they shift the narrative here? All it took was one spark. But before she could articulate that spark, she caught sight of Leo, whose eyes now gleamed with something darker, a desperate determination to not only control the situation but to hold on to a past that was slipping away. "Let us settle this, then," Leo said, voice low and dangerously calm. "If it's a community you want, let us see how community really works under pressure." With those words, Sarah felt a shiver of dread and excitement. What was Leo plotting, and how far would he go? She exchanged wary glances with Jake. The real fight was only just beginning. The stakes had been raised, and now, it was a matter of survival not just for Sarah and Jake, but for all they hoped to achieve. Would they be able to withstand the pressure Leo intended to unleash? Or would they crumble beneath the system of betrayal he had crafted so well? The room pulsed with tension. Sarah felt the collective breath of the crowd held tight, caught in the throes of an impending storm. Leo had crossed a line, and even amidst his bravado, she sensed a flicker of insecurity in his eyes. "Enough games, Leo." Sarah took a step forward, her heart pounding but her voice steady. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about everyone here, about our community, our families. Let us talk about what truly matters. Jake moved beside her, a silent signal of unity, as they stood tall against the looming cloud of Leo's threats. He glanced at Sarah, his eyes full of shared conviction. Let us show him we're not going to back down. Not now. Leo's response was a sardonic laugh. You think your little speeches will change things? The truth is, people care about power, not platitudes. Sarah scoffed at him despite the rising nervousness pinging around her chest. Maybe you're right. But we care about people, Leo. People who are struggling, just like we are. You love your empire, but we crave connection. Connection? He repeated, his eyes narrowing. You think your naivety can beat experience? You're both dreamers. But dreams don't pay the bills. The room buzzed with murmurs, the audience moving like reeds in the wind, caught in the sway of Leo's words and the urgency in Sarah's voice. But Jake stepped in. It's not about money. It's about impact. Being part of something bigger than ourselves. If you can't see that, then I feel sorry for you. Feel sorry? Leo mocked. That's touching. It's true, Sarah shot back. You're clinging to your past while we're looking towards the future. And while you're trotting out your theatrics, we're working to really change lives out there. Jake's grip on Sarah tightened. Let's put it to a vote. Forget these childish games. Show us what your proposal truly is, and let the people decide. Vote? Leo barked, glancing around like he was catching the attention of delegates, trying to reclaim control. And what risk your precious dreams on the whim of a crowd? We've got nothing to lose that you haven't threatened to take, Sarah replied, the fire within her brightening as she faced the room that hummed with potential. Let us see if your truth can stand up to ours. Suddenly, the MC stepped forward, concern flickering across his face. That's enough. Everyone else worked too hard for this event to turn into a circus. Convenient you say that now, Leo shot back, but true to form, messages were amplifying through the audience. The vulnerability seeped in, cracks exposing hesitation toward Leo's dominating bravado. Okay, everyone, the MC called, hands raised to gather the attention again. Let us settle this. We're here to elevate our community, not tear anyone down. We'll vote on this right now. What do you say? A ripple churned through the crowd, voices rising. Hope began to seed, eyes glimmered with excitement mingled with concern. Then, a thunderous, almost protest-like affirmation filled the space as the attendees started to rally behind Sarah and Jake. Seeing the momentum shift, Leo's smile faltered, a crack in his armor. He took a moment to gauge the crowd's reactions, but Sarah could sense the tension was building. Fine. Let us vote, he spat, the bite in his voice signaling uncertainty beneath the surface. Let us see what they really want. But as the crowd buzzed with ideas about how to guide the vote, Sarah was overwhelmed with determination. We want honesty. We want collaboration. Nobody wants the past to drag us down. Jake added, we'll offer a challenge. Whoever attracts the most significant investment wins. No more underhanded tactics. Just actual partnerships. The crowd erupted into cheers, the energy morphing into something electric and new. Sarah could see camaraderie blossom. Leo's mask slipped further, revealing a flicker of panic as he realized he underestimated them. You can't be serious, he protested quietly, yet the edge of desperation seeped through his facade of control. We are, Sarah asserted. This is a new wave. It's not about individual success anymore, it's about building something real. Together. The MC stepped forward again. Let's get everyone's participation ready. This vote could be the turning point we've all been waiting for. As the audience responded with enthusiasm, Sarah couldn't ignore the wave of relief mingled with excitement that crashed over her. They could do this. They were fighting for not just themselves, but the entire community, a chance for everyone to rise together. The night faded into a blur of preparations, discussions, and laughter, a beautiful reminder of what it meant to stand side by side. And as Sarah looked into Jake's eyes, full of fierce determination and unexpected affection, she knew they were transforming not just the evening, but the landscape of their futures. However, the shadows remained, undercurrents lingered in Leo's silence, and the lingering threat etched in the air. But as Sarah and Jake shared moments of joy while navigating the challenges that still lay ahead, she finally felt a flicker of hope lit anew. As the crowd took their votes, it became clear they were on the brink of a new opportunity. Could it be a turning point for their dreams? The answer danced within the atmosphere, and as the night pressed on, it would reveal whether they could truly build something beautiful or if they would be swept back into darker tides. "Are you ready?" Jake whispered, drawing her attention back. Sarah's heart raced with anticipation as she nodded, a smile blooming. Ready. Little did they know, the outcome was only the beginning the night had silently promised. One way or another, they would fight for everyone and everything they had begun to believe in. And that was the real victory. If they could weave this tapestry together, then perhaps love, resilience, and community could emerge unscathed through the storm. Some things are worth risking it all for. Just as they took a stance, chaos erupted behind them, the beginning of a brand new chapter they never saw coming. If you reached this point and felt the intensity of this journey, there's more. It's time to be part of our community. You need to subscribe now for exclusive tales, ways you can support and grow with us. Leave a like now to fuel our passion and spot with the algorithm. Comment your thoughts, your excitement, and what you felt through this wild ride. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this with at least 5 friends who need to see the power of love and resilience in action. Your support makes all the difference. Let us ignite hope together.